He explained the definition with an example so vivid and true to life that I can quote it to you almost word for word to this day. Let's say I'm walking down the hall when I encounter one of my people who says, "Good morning, boss. Can I see you for a minute? We have a problem." I need to be aware of my people's problem, so I stand there in the hallway listening while he explains the problem in some detail. I get sucked into the middle of it. Because problem solving is my cup of tea, time flies. When I finally glance at my watch, what seemed like 5 minutes has actually been 30. The discussion has made me late for where I was headed. I know just enough about the problem to know I will have to be involved, but not yet enough to make a decision. So I say, "This is a very important problem, but I don't have any more time to discuss it right now. Let me think about it, and I'll get back to you." And with that, the two of us part company. As a detached, perceptive observer, he continued, "It was probably easy for you to see what happened in that scenario. I assure you it is much harder to see the picture when you are in the middle of it. Before the two of us met in the hall, the monkey was on my staff member's back. While we were talking, the matter was under joint consideration, so the monkey had one leg on each of our backs. But when I said, 'Let me think it over and get back to you,' the monkey moved its leg from my subordinate's back onto my back, and my subordinate walked away 30 pounds lighter. Why? Because the monkey then had both legs on my back." Now let us assume for the moment that the matter under consideration was part of my staff member's job. And let us further assume that he was perfectly capable of bringing along some proposed solutions to accompany the problem he raised. That being the case, when I allowed that monkey to leap onto my back, I volunteered to do two things a person working for me is generally expected to do. 1. I accepted responsibility for the problem from the person, and 2. I promised the person a progress report. Let me explain. For every monkey there are two parties involved, one to work it, and one to supervise it. In the instance just described, you can see that I acquired the worker role, and my subordinate assumed the supervisory role. And just to make sure I know who's the boss, the next day he will stop by my office several times to say, "Hi boss, how's it coming?" And if I have not resolved the matter to his satisfaction, he will suddenly be pressuring me to do what is actually his job. I was dumbfounded. The 1-minute manager's vivid description of role reversal instantly triggered pictures in my mind of dozens of monkeys currently residing in my own office. The most recent was a memo from Ben, a member of my staff, that said, in effect, "Boss, we're not getting the support we need from purchasing on the beta project. Could you speak to their manager about it?" And of course I agreed. Since that time, Ben had twice followed up on the matter with, "How's it coming with the beta project? Have you spoken with purchasing yet?" Both times I guiltily replied, "Not yet, but don't worry, I will." Another was from Maria, who was requesting my help because I possessed, as she so astutely observed, greater knowledge of the organization and of the technical peculiarities of certain problems than she did. Yet another monkey I had promised to handle was to write a job description for Eric, who had been transferred from another department to fill a newly created position in my department. I had not had time to specify exactly the duties of this new job, so when he asked me what was expected of him, I promised to write a job description to clarify his responsibilities. My mind raced with a blur of monkeys and how I acquired them. 2 recent monkeys were in the form of incomplete staff work from Lisa and Gordon. I was planning to analyse the one from Lisa, note the areas that needed more work, and return it to her with suggested changes. The other, from Gordon, was back in my office for the 4th time. I was thinking of completing it myself rather than having to deal with him again. Monkeys, monkeys, monkeys! I even had some ricochet monkeys. These monkeys were created by Maria, whose work and personal style sometimes caused problems for people in other parts of the organisation. The other people then brought the problems for me, for my invariable reply, "I'll look into it and get back to you." As I thought about it, I realised that some of the monkeys were opportunities rather than problems. For example, Ben is a very creative person who is great at conceiving new ideas. But to put it mildly, developing his ideas into finished products is not one of his strengths. So he sent me a series of suggestions which, though underdeveloped, had so much potential that I penned myself notes of things to do in order to capitalize on each of them. As monkey after monkey scampered through my mind, I clearly saw that most of them should have been handled by my staff, but some of the monkeys belonged to me alone. That is, they were part of my job description. For example, When one of my people is sick or untrained or otherwise incapable of doing a task, I sometimes have to help out. And when emergencies arise, I sometimes handle monkeys my staff should handle if there were no emergency. Another example of monkeys that legitimately belong to me is the case where a member of my staff formulates a recommendation for handling a particular situation. Once that person gives the recommendation to me, then one or more of several next moves legitimately belong to me. I need to read the recommendation or listen to it being explained, question it, think about it, make a decision, react to it, and so on.